Now that Jimmy Butler is back with the Miami Heat, do you think they are a lock to make the playoffs? Are they going to start making this playoff push? I'll start off with you, Riv.
After that whole got to calm it down. No, yeah, I do troll them a lot, on Twitter because my friends are Heat fans, so it's fun to troll your friends. But I do believe they're going to get it going. They're going to start making the playoffs. And when Jimmy Butler got back, I know they lost their first 2 games, but you've seen instantly the impact he has on their team. He is a top 2 playmaker in their team, a top 3 rebounder in their team, their best perimeter defender, their best scorer. He just does everything for that team that he needs to do. And I think now that he's back, they're going to make a push for the playoffs. And I think this team is definitely going to gel and get back that little fire that they had last year. I don't think they're going to do the little Cinderella run they did. But I think with Jimmy Butler back, you definitely get your leader back. You get the guy who's going to ride for you, and you get your best everything, your best all-around player. I think they've been losing because Jimmy Butler has been hurt. When Jimmy Butler has played with the Miami Heat are 7-5 this season. They're 10-14 overall. They're 11th in the East, but if you want to make it sound better, they're 9th. They're tied for 9th. So they're not actually 11th. They're tied for 9th. And now that their whole team is getting healthy, Bam, he's been healthy all year, but Tyler Hero is back. Duncan Robinson missed some games. Jimmy Butler's back. I think they're going to start making a run, and people forget that Avery Bradley has not played yet. I mean, the Miami Heat lost 2 key players in Jay Crowder and Derrick Jones Jr. Derrick Jones Jr., arguably one of their best perimeter defenders on the team, left. So it hurt them a little bit. But overall, I think the slow start to Miami was more due to having a short offseason. You saw the same thing with Toronto. They didn't have as short of an offseason, but they're not playing any home games right now. Miami had a short offseason, and Jimmy Butler was out as well. And because of that, all of that cultivated into them starting slow. But now that Jimmy's back, I really don't see any scenario where Miami doesn't start to make a run now, because we've seen Bam Adebayo emerge as a scorer now. He's shooting 40% from the 3. His mid-range shot is great. He's doing his thing. He's averaging 20 points per game. So this might have been a blessing in disguise, because while Jimmy Butler was out, Bam Adebayo built up that confidence. But I think we can both agree that even though Bam is doing this as a scorer, he shouldn't be taking more shots per game than Jimmy Butler.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about the Heat, we can talk about the Heat because that's the topic at hand. But I think the Heat are a lock for the playoffs with Jimmy Butler on the court. They got to stay healthy. That's the most important thing, and that's been their problem so far. Obviously, with a 70-day off season, that's going to be an issue, and it's been an issue for both finals teams, with the exception of LeBron, because he takes care of his body like nobody's business.
They hurt AD.
Yeah, so I think they are a lock for the playoffs. It's not just Jimmy Butler coming back as a player, but it's Jimmy Butler's attitude coming back too. And I know he can still bring that being on the bench, but when he's on the floor, he makes everybody around him play harder. When he's in the practice gym, he makes everybody go that much harder. That's just the Jimmy Butler effect. You've seen it everywhere he's gone. The intensity level has risen, whether it's been for better, like it was in Philadelphia. I think they played much better with Jimmy Butler there, or for the worse in Minnesota, where he was trying to increase the intensity and guys just weren't buying into that mentality. But I think he's going to bring that here in Miami again, just like he did last year. He's going to raise everybody up around him. And I think all together, when they start playing together, getting everybody on the floor, they're going to get back into that rhythm. I don't think, like you guys said, they make a run like they did last year, but they're a team to be afraid of. They're a team to look twice at and nobody to gloss over in the Eastern Conference. And a lot of people have been down on them because of the beginning of the year, but it was a total fluke.
I don't know what happened with Jimmy Butler, but
did he have surgery?
No, I think it was COVID. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about right now he's shooting 6% from 3. Like that is bad. That's horrible. That is astronomically bad.
He shoots worse than Giannis.
And this is somebody who in the past playoffs, like in the regular season last year, he shot bad from 3. But in the playoffs, he shot 35%. So for that not to translate this season, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why his shot
still hits big shots.
Yes, he does. I don't know why his shot is so inconsistent. It's so up and down. But overall, you guys said it all. The Heat have all the talent. When you look at the teams that are in front of them, the Hornets, the Hawks, the Knicks, Who else is in front of them? Even the Pacers.
I think
Bulls
we're in
are
front
ahead
of
of
them.
them. Yeah.
The Bulls. I don't think any of those teams have a more.
Even, but
No, we're better than.
I don't think any of those teams have a more talented roster than the Miami Heat when healthy. Who are you shaking your head at?
No, I was gonna be biased to say we're better.
Oh, yeah, you guys are not better. But right now they're on a 3-game winning streak, and this is their next 10 games. Right now, I think they're playing the Rockets on TNT.
yeah.
But the Rockets, the Jazz, the Clippers, the Warriors, the Kings, who, they're good offensively but bad defensively, the Lakers, the Thunder, the Raptors, the Jazz, and the Hawks. So they have a tough schedule over the course of these next 10 games. They face the Jazz twice. They've been rolling. The Lakers are one of the best teams in the NBA. The Clippers, we know what they are. The Warriors against Steph, anything can happen. The Raptors are starting to click, and the Hawks, their roster is more talented this year than last year. They're a much better team. So none of these teams are cakewalks. So we're going to see just how good the Miami Heat are going to be within these next 10 games, because this schedule, the next 10 games are going to be pretty difficult.
Yeah, and they had a pretty tough schedule over the entire first half. Now that I'm looking back at games they've played too. So I would have to imagine, I know they haven't released the second half schedule yet, but I would have to imagine the second half is going to be at least a little bit easier on them. And getting, like I said, Jimmy Butler is not going to shoot 6% from 3 all season long. He's got to get back into the rhythm. He's got to get back into the flow.
Yeah.
He might not shoot.
Yeah.
He might not even get to 30%, but he will definitely improve from 6%. And when it comes to playoff time, it seems like he always finds a way to hit the shots when he has to. So I trust that they're going to come around. And honestly, I could see them getting up to the 5 seed, really.
Who can they beat?
In the playoffs?
They could beat every team outside of the Nets, in my opinion.
I could see it. The Sixers and Bucks would be tough matchups. We saw them beat the Bucks last year. I think adding Drew Holiday makes it a much tougher matchup. The Sixers be interesting the way Joel Embiid is playing right now, but can they do that in the playoffs is a huge question mark with Doc Rivers. You just don't know. Outside of that, I think everything is up for grabs. I think the Celtics are still trying to find their stride. I think they could still use a more dependable big man.
I think the Heat can beat the Nets.
Bam Adebayo would have to have the series of his lifetime.
Would he?
Yes.
I
Because
I've seen you guys. I've seen them play you guys.
If Kyrie's taking the most shots on the team, they could.
Let me say this. I think they have the personnel to make that series very, very challenging. I've seen both you guys play each other, and Jimmy Butler did not play. And Bam gave you guys a whole lot of hell. But that was with no Jimmy Butler. I think they have the personnel better than most teams.
To me, because I'm banking this, when I look at the playoffs, I'm looking at how I think the team is going to be. And them at their full potential.
Yeah.
At their full potential, the Heat cannot beat the Nets.
Yeah, maybe I stretched it. I think they can give you guys hell, though.
They can beat Philly because, I think Miami just has more dogs on their team.
I think the Nets, that would be a very challenging first round for you guys. A really rugged battle coming out the gate. That's your first series, the Heat. It's that's not going to be a cakewalk. I think it'll go 6.
No, I don't. In the top 6 in the East, I don't think there's going to be a cakewalk out of any of them, depending on how things play out. But I think there's going to be a lot of teams that can put up a fight, at least in the Eastern Conference.
Yes.
It doesn't look good right now numbers-wise, but a couple of teams have gotten off to poor starts or had stretches.
I stretched it with they can beat y'all. They can't beat y'all. I stretched it. But they can make it a very tough series.
It will be a tough series.
Yeah, I was bugging.